when the Houston Rockets won their 2 championships. The haters say that the only reason why they won is because Jordan wasn't there. Now, Jordan wasn't there for the first ring, but Jordan was there for the second ring. And people always want to try to overlook that 1995 season. But Jordan came back in 1995. And in the playoffs, he played against the Charlotte Hornets in the first round and the Orlando Magic in the second round. And people was talking about all this big layoff. You know, he was out of the game for a couple of years. But that's just people talking. Those are the haters. Let's look at Jordan's stats during the playoffs. And let's also remember that the Houston Rockets were the 6th seeded team, and the Chicago Bulls were the 5th seeded team in the East. Now, the first team that they met were the Charlotte Hornets, and they were featuring Muggsy Bogues and Alonzo Mourning. Now, Jordan rolled all over Charlotte Hornets. Game 1, Jordan scores 48 points. Now, that sounds pretty good to me for a person that's been out of the game for 2 years. Game number 2, Jordan scores 32 points. That still sounds real good for a person that's been out of the game for, as you say, 2 years. And in spite of him scoring 32 points, he still lost. Now, in game number 3, he scored 25 points. But Charlotte only scored 80 points, and Chicago had 103, so there was no need for him to score 32 or 48 points, and they won. And the Chicago Bulls fans were all happy. But as I said them again, look who they faced. Muggsy Bogues and Alonzo Mourning. I mean, Alonzo Mourning's a good player, but Muggsy Bogues, come on, man. Chicago went on to win the series 3-1. The last game was a nail-biter, but they still won. They had every opportunity to meet the Rockets. Now, this should help settle this argument about if Jordan would have beaten the Rockets or not. Chicago couldn't handle the Magic, and the Rockets swept the Magic. That's proof right there that we would have swept Chicago too. I mean, Penny Hardaway's stealing the ball, just raping Jordan. And we shut those boys down with old Clyde Drexler. Shut Shaq down with old Caldwell Jones. So there was nothing wrong with Jordan during that time he came back. They just couldn't win. He scored, and he scored a lot. It was the same team, but it was a different result when he met Shaq. And what did Orlando go and do? Break up the team like knuckleheads usually do. They made the same boneheaded move here in Houston as well. Now, in game 2 and 3 against the Magic, Jordan scored 38 and 40 points, respectively, winning one and losing the other. You know, as I think about it, because people always say the NBA is scripted, I want to guarantee that they broke up those teams to ensure that Jordan wins. Because if Orlando would have kept their original team, they would have beaten Jordan again. And if the Rockets would have kept their team, they would definitely have won maybe 4 or 5 more championships. So to answer that question about would the Rockets have beaten the Chicago Bulls, yes, they would have. They would have beaten them just like the Orlando Magic beat them. Only with us, we would have swept them. But I know you Jordan fans hate to admit that. We went through the same thing with the New York Knicks fan. Oh, Pat Riley, this and that. Oh, Patrick Ewing, he beat Elijah One in college. There's a difference between college and the pros. For all these people that are talking about the Rockets would have lost to the Chicago Bulls, and that the only reason why the Rockets won is because Chicago wasn't there. The Rockets showed up. It was the Bulls that pulled the Vanishing Act.